Hello, everyone. Hopefully we are recording okay. Let's see. I want to make sure I'm sharing the proper screen. So let's do that. Excellent. All right. So the reason that I'm making this recording today is because for our presentation that you're hopefully in now, one of the disadvantages of the ChatGPT Data Analysis Tool is that it does not always work the way you want it to. So in case I have gotten into the presentation and it is not doing what I need it to do, what I'm hoping is that it'll do what I need it to do now as a backup. So the first thing that I'm going to show you here is that it is extremely important that before you start any of your data analysis, that you have it done someplace else. So in this case, I have used JASP, just another statistical software package, to do some of the basic analyses that we're going to conduct in ChatGPT. And the reason that I do this is because I want to make sure that I'm using something that I trust. So whether you use R, a GUI for R, SPSS, whatever you're using, I want to be able to trust the results that I see in ChatGPT. And we'll probably have an example of that soon. So I usually perform the data, or perform whatever the basic analyses is. In this case, we're looking at MoCA scores predicted by cumulative hair cortisol, factored in by race and whether or not the person is a healthy control or has MS or not. Okay, so we'll start by taking our file. I do not believe that data analysis takes SPSS files yet. I've tried, and I think there are certain packages that do, but for the data analysis that I use, it doesn't necessarily work. So what does work is using a CSV file. So the first thing that I do is load my CSV file of the data. Oftentimes you can go ahead and while it's analyzing it, look and see if everything came through. It should look pretty much the way you would expect it to. So we have all of our variable names in the first row. You would set this up basically in the same way that you would set up a CSV file for, let's say SPSS. The first thing that I tell it to do is to treat missing cells or empty cells as missing data. I find that starting out that way will save you a lot of heartache. Then typically what I'll do to make sure that we're all on the same page, you can do a statistical summary, but honestly, I like to go straight into what I want it to do. So in this case, we are going to tell it to, let's see, run a linear regression using MoCA as the dependent variable. LN court as a covariate, and race dx. You can probably say and. Let's see if it'll work. And race and dx as factors. Hopefully you'll get it. And so then we're going to do that, tell it what we want it to do. A lot of times it will take a moment or two to run. And let's see. So the first thing I do is I check the R squared to see if it matches. Check the, let's see, the F statistic, make sure that matches. Check the P coefficient. Chord, we want to make sure that's all correct, and it is. And then I usually immediately tell it to, can you present a table in APA 4? Because it's a lot easier for me to look at it this way. A lot of times, sometimes it won't add the confidence intervals, but you can do that as well. But this way you can look right at your results right away and make sure that they match. This does not always happen. Maybe one of the reasons that we're watching this video is because this did not happen the way that I planned on it happening. So what you'll usually have here is your interception. Oh, sorry, we should start up a little bit higher. You'll usually give you your R squared statistic, your F, your adjusted R squared. So as you see here, not even a small effect size, but we're going to keep on using this just because. Your standard error t-value, your 95 percentile confidence ratios, and so on and so on. And then what I like about this is that at this point, you're pretty much telling it to do some of your basic writing for you. So in this case, I don't know about y'all, but I really, 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 really hate writing up results in APA style format. So what I'll do is I'll say something along the lines of, can you write up these results in APA style format without interpretation? And so what it'll do, and of course you're going to have to go back and do a little bit of editing, but it'll write out everything that you need without having to copy and paste everything in. I would say that it probably didn't do that great of a job. Let's see if we can get it to visualize the regression model. Sometimes this works, sometimes it doesn't. There's a little joke that I was just telling someone earlier. Let's race and see if I can get, this visualization done faster than ChatGPT. And sometimes that does happen where it will literally just get stuck. So I still like to give it a few minutes. See what it comes up with. All right. So let's see, the residuals versus that's not really too much use. This is serve versus mocha, intercept. I would say that that's probably not something that's too useful for us, but we can, let's see, what do we want to tell it to do? We can ask it to show differences in mocha scores by race and by yes, while controller, let's see, we can say show differences by race and EX in mocha scores. lots of waiting, unfortunately. Right, so we see here that it did kind of what we wanted to do, showing the differences between white and black participants in MoCA scores, showing the difference between our healthy controls and our MS group. That's not really what I wanted, but let's just go ahead and keep it simple and say, can you change this to a bar graph? Okay. And as we can see, does that automatically adds the error bars. You can ask it to label 0, or you can say for race 0 equals white and 1 equals black, and you relabel that graph. Oh, I don't think I spelled relabel correctly. Let's see if it'll pick up on that. What I am worried about is that while we're waiting for this analysis to go through, that it may have forgotten that we're actually working with this regression. So it'll get really interesting as we ask it to graph something else. Right, so it was able to do that. So usually simple things like relabeling, you can just tell it to do. But what we want it to do, let's go back up here, is maybe do something a little bit more complex. So what we can ask it to do is to, on one graph, display MoCA scores predicted by Ellen Court with 2 different group, 0 and race equals 1. So something a little bit more complex, but let's see if it'll interpret it. And then while it's doing that, over here in the corner in JAS, my other screen, I'll go ahead and just create that graph. So that way we can look at it for variance. Again, it's a game of can we create the graph faster than ChatGPT can? And as we can see, it kind of did what we wanted it to do. I mean, it graphed everything, but at the same time, I was looking for something a little bit more like this, right? Which honestly, this probably conveys your point, like the point of the data a little bit more, where we have MoCA scores over here on our Y, Ellen court over here on our x-axis, and as we can see, that the higher a person's cortisol level is, the lower their MoCA score, and we can also see that a significant difference in MoCA scores between Black and white participants.